For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us.
The Force is this thing in Star Wars where it has like immense power and it's shrouded in such mystery, but it's not unlimited. It's always been this thing that people covet, and a lot of times when people do have immense power, they buckle under that power, and the ones who do maintain control, they live a reclusive life, if anything. I don't understand the modern iteration of the Force. It seems like the Force is being used as the Swiss Army knife to solve every single problem under the sun for the Star Wars universe and Disney. Like, when the fuck did this happen? Check this out.
And that is why you will always lose.
Couldn't Obi-Wan have just fucking force jumped out of there? Like, am I missing something here? He seemed to have no issue force jumping onto a flying robot in Clone Wars. He seemed to have no issues force jumping onto a ship or around a pillar, but he can't force jump off of the ground. This is definitely not the Force I remember when I first watched Star Wars, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, don't lie to me, guys. All right, were you one of those kids? Because I definitely was. Going home after watching Star Wars, trying to close the door that was open using the Force, and you're like, come on, man, budge a little bit, just move a little, and then it moves a little, and you just freak out, but then you realize the window was open the whole time. Yeah, I had a sad life, no friends. What can I tell you? Let's roll it back to before the prequels. The Force, if you remember from the original trilogy, actually, if you think about it, the original trilogy didn't have too much action. It was very big on story, and the few action pieces that it did have throughout the movies, they were very well done to a point where it was really action packed. But the Force was this mysterious thing that happened, right? Every single character that was Force sensitive in the whole movie set, you could kind of tell. The score changed when they came up on screen, but more than anything, the Force was portrayed as this thing that is hard to control. You have to be very careful. You have to train for it for years. It can't be just sort of manipulated or bent to your will. It's a give and take. There were always consequences to using the Force too much or too little, or, you know, it was very ambiguous in how you could use it, which is why when it was first introduced, it was very sort of subtle, right? Like, wave his hand and all of a sudden, these are not the droids we're looking for. Something simple like that. We saw other simple things like Force pushes and stuff like that, but the cool thing about the original trilogy was Darth Vader and the lightsabers. That stuff was like, whoa, what is that? That's something that we haven't really seen too much up to that point. The Force was sort of a secondary thing which could very easily overcome the primary, you know, power if you let it, for instance. Hence why they kept saying the dark side of the Force or whatever the case is. So you're always thinking in the back of your mind, oh my god, like maybe is it that if I use it too much, I go to the dark side, or like how does that dark side even happen? That was one of the questions that it was given to you when you were watching the original trilogy. As it progressed, you learned that it was hate and a bunch of other things, you know, different strong feelings that contribute to the dark side. But at the end of the day, the Force is never supposed to be this ridiculous 360 no scope, one shot, one kill, pentakill situation that's happening right now with Disney Star Wars. It's not a solution. It is a very specific thing to the user for the most part. Actually, you don't see any really strong Force abilities until, for example, you know, Sidious right at the end where he starts using lightning, which is, you know, you're like, what the hell? The Force can do that? Like, at that point, you're just like, wow, really? Like, there must be clearly something more to this. And, you know, when he does it, he screams out, absolute power, you know, and you're like, holy shit, like, if you use it too much, you might turn into this guy, right? So there's this allure that comes with the Force, and that's always been the sort of selling point for something like Star Wars and how the Jedi operate versus how the Sith operate. As time progressed, and I'm sure canon came out, and you know, in Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that, there's lots of different Force abilities, and that's fine. But they never made it seem like it's like, oh, you know, random person comes on board, they're Force sensitive, cool, and then all of a sudden they know how to use Force lightning, or all of a sudden they know how to, you know, squeeze answers out of people. That stuff it's all new, and we don't, you know, every time Force was used before, there was some level of explanation or some little thing that gave an indication as to how that might have happened. And the things that randomly happened were very small and ambiguous to a point where you wonder. It makes you wonder a little bit as to how far or how deep these abilities can go, and makes you want to watch further to find out. I think the problem with Disney right now is that they're doing all the same shit that every like 8-year-old kid would do, right? If you remember when you were 8, I don't know, for me it was a Krispy Kreme, right? So if my parents bought Krispy Kreme donuts and they'd bring it over, you can't eat more than like 6 of them without literally dying of a heart attack, right? So middle of the night, I used to wake up just to eat that shit and walk back up there like a fat ass. It's this whole, if you like it, just have it all kind of situation. The Force and Krispy Kreme donuts have that thing in common, which is, you know, too much of it is actually a pretty bad thing. Like, you want to keep it limited just so, at least with the Force, keep an allure, keep some sort of like mystical property of it where it's not like everybody has it. Like, even in the prequels, when the lightning was reflected or deflected back onto Sidious's face, he was getting wrecked by Mace Windu, man. Like, that was not an easy thing. And now it's like people are just, you know, throwing people around. Answers aren't safe anymore. You can squeeze an answer out of anybody as long as you're Force sensitive. The Incredibles said it the best, right? It's like, if everybody's super, then nobody is, right? The syndrome from Incredibles. Shout out to Incredibles. I don't know if you guys know that, but he said it the best. It's like, at this point, everyone is super. Everybody has the Force, and it's like, wow, like, what's this new ability? And that at some point, it's going to get a little watered down and stale. I think we're already at that stage, to be honest. But Rey Palpatine just randomly discover Force lightning, stuff like that just boils my blood, man. It's like, where the fuck did she learn that shit? Is that supposed to be the moment where the fans are like, aha, she's a Palpatine or something? Like, I don't understand why they even put that in there. You could have made a totally different set of scenes that would have explained that a little bit further, but, you know, that was just totally uncalled for. And it's shit like that that really gets me going, you know? I don't know. I don't appreciate Disney completely destroying this one franchise that I really, really enjoyed as a kid. And yes, I know they're not space wizards or anything like that, but I'm just saying it keeps it very mystical in the sense that you're always wondering what further thing that they could unlock with the Force and what else it could accomplish instead of just giving it all to you right away and just watering it down further. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Until later, I'm out. Peace.